In this case, for example, okay, you look here, if this is a string, if this is a ball tied to a string and rotated, what provides the centripetal force here? No. What? Now see, this is trying to rotate like this. What is now? Okay, listen carefully. For an object, okay, according to first law, an object, if there is no net force, object will move in a straight line only. If there is no net force, object will move in a straight line only. This is according to Newton's first law. So, if an object is moving in a circular path, is it under first law? No. Why? Because its direction changes every time. So what is necessary to change the direction? You need a net force. Fine. According to second law, for the direction changing means acceleration. For the direction to change, there must be a net force. And that net force is called centripetal force. The force needed to make an object move in a circular path is called centripetal force. Okay. Now, this centripetal force should be provided by something in different cases. For a ball tied to a string, for a ball and string, what provides the centripetal force? Centripetal force is provided by the tension in the string. Okay, tension in the string. Okay, that means the tension is acting this way, and this tension is supplying the needed centripetal force. Is that clear? Now, another example is this is sun and this is earth. Earth is rotating around the sun. So since earth is also making circular motion, earth also needs centripetal force. What provides the centripetal force here? There is no string. So see here in this case, this is sun, this is earth. For the earth to go around the sun, it needs centripetal force. What is providing? In this case, what is the force between them? Huh? There's no tension. Tension is there in something which is joining them. There is no string tied to them. But is there any force between them? Why does the earth go around the sun? Otherwise, the earth would have been going in a straight line. What is the name of that force? You know it. You know it. Why is the earth held to the sun? What is gravity? Force of gravity. See, look here. Oh, what is gravity? Gravity is no. Gravity is a force which is there in all objects having mass. Force of gravity is equal to mass into gravitational field strength mg. Any object which has mass has the ability to attract other stuff, which is called gravitational force. Okay, any object that has mass has the ability to attract other objects with mass, and this force of gravity increases with mass. For example, this pen and this pen cap, this has mass, this also has mass. Since they have mass, this has the ability to attract this one towards it. Since this one has mass, this has the ability to attract this one towards it. But you don't see this one going towards this, or you don't see this one going towards that. Why? Because the mass of this is very, very small. So the gravitational attractive force is very small, so that it comes towards it. But you think about the earth, mass of the earth, and for example, an apple. An apple comes towards the earth. You can see the apple moving towards the earth. Why? Because the mass force is equal to weight is equal to mass into gravity. This weight is force due to gravity. Depends on mass. So Earth's mass is so large that its gravitational force is so large to make you see this one coming towards it. Similarly, the apple also has mass. Apple also has force of gravity. But why don't you see the earth going towards the apple? Because this is smaller, its force of gravity is very small, which is significantly smaller to pull it towards it. But the mass of the earth is so large, its gravity is large, so it is sufficient to pull it towards it. So every object has force of gravity, but we notice this attractive force only for bigger objects. Clear? Now the sun and the earth both are massive. Both are very, very heavy. So the earth, but since sun is much more larger than the earth, sun is attracting it towards the sun. But do you feel that okay, let this be sun, let this be earth. Do you see the earth going towards the sun? No, no, otherwise we would be burned with the earth. Earth will not be there at all because it is so hot. Okay, so now why the earth doesn't come towards it? Okay, I'll explain that with this one. Assume this is a ball tied to a string and going around. You are whirling. There are two forces acting on it. One is the centripetal force, which is the tension here, and the other is this one is in motion. It is already moving. Fine. So it has some energy or force due to motion. If this one stops moving, okay, if this one stops moving, this force is not there, then this is the only force acting, this will go towards it. If this string snaps, if it snaps, this tension is not there, the only force acting on it is this one, so it will go like this, right? So at every moment, it doesn't go towards this or it doesn't go towards that because there are two forces acting, and the object finally will go in a direction which is the resultant of this one. So it comes over here. Here also it has a direction of motion this way, centripetal force this way, two forces. It doesn't go this way, neither this way, it goes in the direction of the resultant and it comes here. Okay, likewise it continue rotating. So for it to continue the circular motion, two forces are necessary. One, centripetal force, two. Okay, now it has a tendency to go in a straight line this way, but it is this force which is pulling it slightly down. Why doesn't it? Okay, because of its velocity, initial velocity, force due to velocity, it has a, so now at every moment this has two tendencies to move, either to move this way or to move this way, but it doesn't go in any one of the direction. Instead it goes in the direction of the resultant. If any one of the force is removed at any instant, for example, if this one stops moving, this is not there, it will go towards this one. If the cord snaps, this force is not there, the only force acting on it is this one, it will go that way. Clear? Now you apply that over to this sun earth system. Now, for example, here, what is the force between earth and the sun? The force due to gravity. Okay, because since sun is earth is also pulling sun, but the mass of sun is much larger than the earth. This is more. So it is a force of gravity acting as the centripetal force, plus the earth is always rotating. Earth has a velocity this way. Earth is always moving, revolving around the sun. If at any moment, if the it's force due to velocity, but that means if it is moving, it has to move. It has to move. Okay. Now, what is a centripetal acceleration? Centripetal acceleration is equal to v square by r. I told you last class, right? That means it has to move. V should be there. Okay, so it has to move at the same time. There must be a force perpendicular to it. This will make the object go in a straight path. This will make the object come towards it. Both are there every time. Okay, both are working simultaneously. If any one of this is removed, it will go in the direction of the other one. So just like this one, now if the earth stops moving, assume that the earth has stopped moving. This velocity is not there. What will happen to the earth? Earth will go towards the sun. Understood? Now again assume that the sun stopped attracting earth. If the sun stopped attracting the earth, then the earth will go into space in a straight line. Okay. So in this case, the centripetal force is provided by the force due to gravity. Another example, let this be the nucleus, the positive nucleus. Electrons are moving around it, negative electrons. Electron is also making a circular motion. Fine. Here, what is providing the centripetal force? What is the force between the force of attraction? Since they are too tiny, force of attraction or force due to gravity is equal to mass into gravity. You think about their masses. They are too small. So the gravitational force is insignificant. So what is the force acting? The attractive force, electric force of attraction. Positive and negative charges attract. Clear? The electric, no, there is no joining, there is no wire, there is nothing connecting. But there is force of attraction. The force of attraction is acting like the centripetal force. Okay, so for any object to move in a circular path, you need centripetal force, and that must be provided by something depending on the situation. Is that clear? Now you come to this question. In this question, this is rotating in this way. This is a mass on a disk. This is also rotating. Here, for this to rotate, what is providing centripetal force? Is it electric force like this one? No, no, because they are not charged particle. Is it gravitational force like the earth and the sun? No, because they are too small, their mass is too small. Then there is nothing tied between them, so there is no tension also. So what is providing? You think the frictional force between this one and this one is acting as the centripetal force. So you understand that different situations, different things will provide a centripetal force. Yes. So here in this case, the centripetal force is provided by the friction. All right. What is the formula for centripetal force? Mass of this one into F is equal to ma. Centripetal acceleration. What is the formula for centripetal acceleration? V square by R should be equal to friction. Now, they said this one slides off when the speed is increased. Fine. That means when V increases, when speed increases, the centripetal force needed increases. That centripetal force, that means the bigger centripetal force now should be provided by what? By the friction. Friction between the mass and the disk, between the surface of that. But this one has a limit. Friction cannot be increased indefinitely. There is a limit between the limit of friction between the. So, but you can increase the speed as much as you like. As you increase the speed, this one doesn't increase beyond a limit. So when you increase the speed, the centripetal force increases, but at one stage, this becomes greater than the maximum friction. Friction maximum. If it is greater than the maximum friction that can develop between them, what happens? If the centripetal force is greater than the maximum friction, then what will happen? It will slide off. It will go this way, it will slide. Okay, so that is the condition. Now you can understand this situation better if you ride on a bike. When you go in a curved path by a bike or a car, if you are going slowly, you can very well go around this track, this road. But if you are traveling faster, if you haven't reduced your speed, you will skid off the road. Understood? So you will skid off the road. Why? Because your speed is higher. There is a limit of friction between the wheel of your bike and the road. If the friction is less than the needed centripetal force, if the friction is less than the needed centripetal force, for example, I'll do again. If the centripetal force becomes less, what happens? It will go along this way. If this is less, this is now more, so it will go. This is called the skidding of the road. All right, same situation. So here in this case, what should you write? When for a mass to go in a circular path, the centripetal force is provided by the friction, number one. Second point, if the speed increases, the necessary centripetal force increases because centripetal force is equal to mv square by r, which should be provided by the friction. So if the friction becomes less than the needed centripetal force, it will slide off. Have you understood? Now I will send a picture of the notes regarding this. Please learn this thoroughly. Copy it onto your copybook. Okay, I will just put a part of that in your group. Please do copy it down. Now, okay, that I will tell you. The mark, you don't worry. 1 minute. Now I am making you write the full concept so that you can answer any type of question coming related to. Okay. Now I'll yes, I'll send you a detailed notes of this one. Please copy it down in your copybook. Got it? Little more. What are the factors affecting centripetal force? Very important. Factors affecting centripetal force. V square by R. This also you write, magnitude, okay? This also you write it down. Okay, so please copy this whole thing down. Okay, all right. And continuation. Last one is also the continuation. The answer you write by yourself. The answer to this question you write by yourself. First point should be this one. For the mass to go around, to move in a centripetal force, sorry, to move in a circular path, it needs centripetal force, which is provided by the friction between the mass and the disk. 1 mark. Finished? Second point, centripetal force is equal to m into v square by r. Write the formula wherever possible. You write the formula. Okay. Centripetal force is equal to m into v square by r. So if the speed increases, centripetal force also increases. But friction has a limit. Friction has a maximum value. Friction has a limit. Friction has a limit. Second point. Third point, if friction becomes, okay, or the maximum friction. If the maximum friction maximum, right? Friction maximum becomes less than the needed centripetal force, it will, if the maximum value of friction becomes less than the needed centripetal force, right? Write in full. I'm not writing, but you write in full. The needed centripetal force it will slide off the disc. Okay, please memorize this answer. This is a common question. Okay, these are the 3 points that you must write. Next question. Oh, what's the question? This is not answer for the question. This is the answer for your doubt. You ask me why does it skid? Huh? This is the answer for your doubt. That's not they are asking. But based on this concept only, the next one can be answered. So you okay, now you read. A small mass m is placed on the plate, distance d from the axis of rotation. The speed of the plate is gradually increased. Speed of rotation is increased, means this v is increased from 0 until the mass is seen slide off. You understood why does it slide off? When it is slowly moving, it doesn't slide off because friction is sufficient to provide the centripetal force. But when it rotates faster, you need more centripetal force, which the friction cannot provide. Continue reading. The maximum frictional force F between the plate and the mass is given by, okay, so see we have written this friction maximum, right? This friction maximum can be found in this case by a formula F is equal to 0.72 W. W is what? Weight, where W is the weight of the mass. Determine, listen, now this is there in the question itself. There in the question. Where W is the weight. Determine the maximum number of revolutions. What do you mean by number of revolutions? Frequency. Number of revolutions. Per minute. Here they are asking per minute. What is this? Frequency of. They are asking the frequency, linear frequency. For the mass to remain on the plate. To remain on the plate, what is the condition? Maximum friction should be equal to centripetal force. To remain on the disc, friction should be at least equal. Okay, this is the maximum value. So this friction is equal to 0.72. W means mass into gravity is equal to centripetal force is equal to mass into V square by R. Yes, both the masses are same. No, where M is away. Yes, correct. Yes, so you can cancel these masses out. We can cancel mass out. And what is another formula for now? Here they have given you, this V. But how will you find F? You know that angular velocity omega or angular frequency is equal to 2 pi F. Did I teach you this yesterday, last class? I told you, right? Yeah, so angular, yes, omega is equal to 2 pi by time period. What is 1 by time period? Frequency is equal to 1 by time period. Therefore, this can be written as 2 pi into linear frequency. Write it down. So omega, this omega is angle, there are angular velocity, and it is also equal to angular frequency. Both different cases we use this one. Okay, it has angular velocity, which is also equal to angular frequency. So omega is equal to 2 pi by T or 2 pi F. Now what we need is F. To find F, you need omega. But here in this equation, we have V. What is the connection between V and omega? V is equal to R omega. R omega. Therefore, R square, don't say W, omega, R square by R, which is omega square. I told you this formula also. Either you use this one. If you are given this linear velocity, use this one. If you want or need angular velocity, use this one. Okay, any one of that. Here, let's use this because we need a frequency. Now, V is equal to omega R. Therefore, V square is equal to R square omega square. I'll show once more. Centripetal acceleration is equal to V square by R. This is also equal to omega square R. So centripetal force is equal to mass into centripetal acceleration, which is equal to centripetal force is equal to M into V square by R or M omega square R. Please copy all these things. Okay. Okay, now what we need? We need F. F is equal to omega by 2 pi. So from this, you find omega 0.72 into 9.81 is equal to omega square into R. This R is given to you as 35 centimeter. Find omega. Then F is equal to omega by 2 pi. This is your answer. Yes. Yeah. So you do this at home, okay? Your answer should be 43 minutes minus 1. This should be your answer. Yes, okay. Now, but we cannot use heads. Why? If you want to use heads, then what is one head? One heads is equal to 1 by second. The second you need. But here, since it is in minute, either you convert earlier into minute into second. First, if you no, but they are asking how many rotations per minute. Either you divide by 60 and get it in seconds, then you can write those milliseconds. But yeah, the question they are asking per minute. So you divide by 60. Okay, so you can divide this by 60. Omega by 2 pi into 1 by 60 will give you this. Huh? Because this will so yeah, per minute. Okay, so you check this and see if you are getting 43 per minute. No, see, You look at the question. If the question were per second, then you will be writing hertz. But the question is per minute. You have to find the number of revolutions per minute. Okay, so this is actually in 1 second. This is actually in 1 second. So you multiply this by 60, you will get it in a minute. Divide by 60, you will get it in minute. Okay. Okay, so that you try at home and check whether you're getting that. Now let's continue. The plate B is covered when stationary with mud. Suggest and explain whether mud near the edge of the plate or near the center will first leave the plate as the angular speed of the plate is slowly increased. Okay, now there is mud over here. Throughout there is mud. This is the center. Let's take 2 points, say point A and point B. When you rotate it, mud from which of the 2 points, near to the center or farther from the center, will skid off the rod? Sorry, will skid off. So the mud will skid off if the centripetal force is more than the friction needed. Okay, or centripetal force is equal to m into v square by r, or you can write m omega square r because angular speed they are talking. So if angular speed is increased, the greater radius, if the radius increases, centripetal force will increase. So you need more centripetal force at the edge than over here. So the mud at the edge will skid off. Okay, so what should you write? The mud on the edge has a greater centripetal force when rotated, so that the mud on the edge will skid off because the distance or the radius is increased. Okay, and you write here F is equal to m into omega square r. When r increases, centripetal force increases. So it will go from the edge. Increases. So the mud from the edge will leave first, then the mud from the closer point. Okay. Okay, now there is one more small part left, which is the derivation of this formula. How did you get this formula? Okay, that means derivation of centripetal acceleration. What is the direction of centripetal acceleration? Very good. So derivation of centripetal acceleration, that means SC, centripetal acceleration, is equal to v square by r. What is the derivation of this? Very important question. Okay, now you stop writing and listen to me. Assume that this is, say, this is an object. This object is having a velocity, say v1. Now this is making uniform circular motion. Okay, uniform circular motion. Assume that is making uniform circular motion. What does that mean? That means speed at all points, speed along circumference is constant. Okay, so this is what you mean by uniform circular motion. That means speed along the circumference is constant. All right. Now assume that the direction of its velocity is in this way. Said let this be v1. When time t is equal to 0, the object is over here. Can you see me writing? Are you following me? Okay. Now assume that an object is moving in a circular path. At this moment, this is its velocity in this way. Let the velocity be v. And after some time, assume that it is over here. So what is the direction of the velocity here? This way. Okay. Now after a time t, this one reaches there. So its velocity is a v2. And the radius at that point is r. This is r, this is also r. Let the angle made between these two positions is theta. Is this much okay? Okay. Now what we have to find? Acceleration. What is the basic formula for acceleration? Acceleration is equal to change in velocity, delta v. Change in velocity divided by time, or say change in time. Acceleration is equal to change in velocity by time, right? So this change in velocity is a vector quantity because velocity is a vector quantity. Now you find how much is this change in velocity? Change in velocity is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity. Okay. Change in final velocity minus, and remember it's a vector subtraction divided by change in time. This is a vector subtraction. You have to subtract vectorially. This is the normal arithmetic subtraction. How will you do vector subtraction? By triangular law. What is triangular law? Assume that if A is a vector and you are adding this one, okay, how will you do this one? Vector A we draw over here, we join the tip of B over here, then this is vector A plus vector B. Remember triangular law? Huh? This is triangular law. Understood? Now what do we need? We need a subtraction. This is addition. For addition, what do we do? Vector A minus vector B. How will you do? This is equal to vector A plus negative of vector B. This is how you subtract. To subtract, what we do? We add with the negative of one vector. What do you mean by negative of this one? If this is vector B, what is negative of vector? The opposite direction. This one. This is negative vector. Huh? Negative. No. This is not like the graph. A vector negative means this length should be same as this, only direction opposite. Okay, so this is a negative vector. So if you want to subtract two vectors, what should you do? You should add one vector with the negative of the other vector. In this case, how will you do A minus B? Which is A, this is A. Okay, this is vector A. Now this is vector B. This is vector B. but we need a negative of B. This is negative B. Okay, this is positive B. Now what should you do? This is vector A minus vector B. Okay. Huh? This is vector rule, vector law, vector subtraction. Vector addition is triangular law. Similarly, vector subtraction is adding the negative of the second vector by triangular law, same triangular law. Okay, I'm coming. So did you understand this much? Now, what do we need? This is vector subtraction. V2 minus V1, both are vectors. So this is equal to what? Final velocity plus negative of vector 1. Understood? By delta T. Now, how will you do this? Let's draw. Let's take first V2. V2 is in this direction. V2 is in this direction. V2 is in this direction. V2 plus negative of V1. Positive V1 is this way. Positive V1 is this way, but negative V1 is this way. This is negative V1. Now, why are we doing this here? To get the direction. So now what is the resultant? You join this with this. See, what is the direction? This is delta V. What's the direction? This is the center. Okay, that means, see, look here. This means it's a center towards the center of the circular path. So this velocity is towards the center. So it is causing centripetal acceleration. Okay, now again, that's not complete. So look here, and I told you it is uniform circular motion. That means the speed V1 is equal to speed V2. The magnitude of this one is equal to the magnitude of this one. Assume that, let's take that as V. Okay, the speed here is same as the speed here. Let us take only V for that, because of the value. If this is 10, this is also 10. So I'm writing this 10. Okay, so that means this was V2. So this is also V. This is also now V. Now, what is the angle? What is the angle between them? Theta. This angle between them theta, that means the angle between this is also theta. Shall I draw bigger? Please try to understand. This is vector V2, which in magnitude is V. This is vector negative of V1, which is also say V. The magnitude is same. This is the change in velocity. This angle is theta. Okay, now what is theta from this? Now theta is equal to what? Arc length by radius. So this is V, this is V. This is like the radius. Now assume this is a circle. This theta is equal to this delta V divided by R. This theta is equal to delta V divided by the radius. But what is the radius? V. So delta V by V. For getting this only, we did all the trouble. Okay, this is V2, this is negative of V1, both we take it as V. So this theta is equal to arc length by radius. Radius is V because this one and this one are equal. They are traveling with uniform speed. So theta is equal to delta V by V. Have you understood this much? I will explain once more. I will explain once more. So therefore, from this, what is delta V? Delta V is equal to theta into V. Why do we need this? You come back to this. Centripetal acceleration is equal to delta V by delta T. Our basic formula. Okay, and delta V we got theta into V by delta T. Okay. Theta delta V is equal to theta into V by delta T. Now we can rearrange this. Rearrange this as V into theta means, okay, let this be the change in the angle delta theta. Change in the angle. Okay, because from here to this much is the change in the angle. So this is equal to delta theta by delta T. What is delta theta by delta T? 1 minute. Here there is centripetal force is equal to delta by delta T, and delta V is equal to V by T, theta into V by T. So, okay, fine. Now, from this you get what is theta? From this, what is theta? This is equal to V into. From this, what is theta? Theta is equal to change in velocity delta V divided by R. This. Okay. This is equal to, yes. There will be two velocities. So this is equal to V by T into V by R. So, yeah. One minute. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, right? Okay, still look here. Centripetal force is equal to delta by delta, and this is equal to theta into V by delta T. And what is theta T? V into omega. Okay, see, look here. AC is equal to V into theta by T is omega. What is omega? V is equal to R omega. Therefore, omega is equal to V by R. Therefore, we get AC is equal to V into V by R, which is V squared by R. This is the final derivation. I'll explain you once more. Okay, because this derivation, I will explain you once more. Consider an object moving in a circular path of radius r. At this moment, this velocity is v1. After a time t, its velocity is v2. Okay, it makes an angle theta. Acceleration, centripetal acceleration is equal to change in velocity by change in time. Change in velocity is equal to final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time, which is equal to final velocity plus negative of initial velocity by time. And this is how much. Okay, to figure it out, you draw the vector diagram. This, no. Okay, so V2 plus negative V1. How will you find this out? You draw V2. V2 is in this direction plus negative of V1. V1 is this way. So negative of V1 is this way. So that this is the change in velocity. This angle is theta. So from this, theta is equal to change in velocity by V, because V2 is equal to V. This is V. This also is V. Okay. So now from this, delta V is equal to theta into V. Now you put it over here. Centripetal velocity is equal to delta V by delta T. Delta V is equal to theta into V by T, which is equal to theta into, sorry, V into theta by T, which is V into omega, which is V into V by R, which is V squared by R. Do you remember this one? This diagram they will ask you. This diagram they will ask. Huh? Not clear? So this diagram they will ask you. Blood. Huh? Ah, okay, okay. Okay, this diagram, I will draw a little more because it is important. This diagram they will ask you. You draw like this. This is V2 is equal to V. Okay. Then you put this is plus V1. So this is negative of V1, which is also equal to V, because uniform circular motion. This angle is theta. This vector, this is the change in velocity vector. This is delta V. Okay, this diagram is very, very important, vector diagram. Huh? Yes? No, I did not. No, in the previous class, I didn't get time to explain this. This part, I didn't get time last class to explain. But it's an important one. That's why I spent time to explain this one. Yeah. Okay, so please do memorize. Okay, I'll tell you what. This is how you start with. Now this is equal to V2 minus V1. Why do we do this? To make sure that the direction of the change in velocity is towards the center. Okay, and from this diagram we get theta is equal to change in velocity by V. From this we get delta V is equal to theta into V. Why do we need this? Because our equation has delta V. Now you put it over here. Take V, separate theta by T. Theta by T is omega, and omega is equal to again V by R. Therefore, V squared by R. And yeah, and this is also equal to, so now here instead of this one, if you write, this is omega R, V is equal to R omega. So this is equal to omega square R as well. So this is how you got that centripetal acceleration formula. Okay, so now you please go through and do all the checkpoint as well as end of text questions and let me know your doubts. Now we are moving on to next chapter, which is electricity. Okay. Yes, finish. Now, a lot of calculations. Please do as many calculations as possible. Huh? Now I'm going to teach you electricity. Electric field